I put the like stuff up there tonight.
But they need access. They really have 250,000. What's you say? But that's all gravel. Down to you go home at night at midnight and they say, I sit here. They make it so easy. That's a cheap way. But then we give them funding. I'm counting.
What y'all could be saying, Mayor? Mr. Chairman, we don't have a
Attention is 5:28. All microphones are live right now. All microphones are live.
There's some things happening, huh? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Like, this needs to go down.
Same old general.
Well, I had a break.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Here. Somebody told me you showed up.
Oh, no.
Can't get a good charge on my phone today. I guess I'll go down there.
Oh, God.
And so I want to order his towels. I like
What's up, Sean?
off the same.
What, go for it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Just put it on like that. yes.
I think so.
Chair, I would like to.
Quick. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one
I'd like that.
Mr. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Yes, sir. Alderman Cox.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Netriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this time, before we begin the official business of the evening, this is not something anybody wants to have to discuss, but as we all know, there was a tragedy yesterday in Chatham, one of our neighboring communities that we have a wonderful relationship with. 4 young people lost their lives. Those 4 young people impacted not just their own families, but hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, across this country and across this world. So I would ask that we all keep those families, keep those children, the first responders and their families in our thoughts and prayers. In their honor, I would ask for a short moment of silence. Thank you. All right, moving on. I'll accept the motion for the approval of the April 8th, 2025 committee meeting minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have no presentations, correct?
Correct.
All right. Next, we have ordinances tabled. I believe we have one. Mr. Clerk, could you please read that ordinance?
It is 2025-155, an ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for sponsorship in the amount of $39,582 for a grant agreement number 25336010 to the Pharmacy Gallery and Art Space for the Bob Wallmeyer Route 66 exhibit to be held May 1st, 2025 through December 20th, 2026 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion for consent?
I think we have to remove it from the table
Yes.
first.
Yes.
Chair, I would like to make a motion to pull out 2025-155 to put on the table for consent.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, now a motion for consent? I guess that's kind of been made.
Yeah.
It's off the table, now the consent motion has been made. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes. Now, for ordinances for committee consideration, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, if you're gonna vote on this, you're gonna do it now, or you're gonna wait till it comes up a different number? On the ordinance we just took off the table.
I thought we did, I'm sorry. I thought we took it off the table and we
Now you
moved it
need
to
a motion
consent.
to pass it.
Motion for consent.
Second.
So moved. Any discussion? No. Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's fine.
I think I was a step ahead of myself. Sorry about that.
Just a technical procedure. You're all right.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And now could you please read the ordinances for CWLP, Public Works, and General City Business?
Yes, sir. CWLP 2025-157, an ordinance authorizing contract with Engineered Pump Services, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $78,030 for the repair of Unit 4 Circular Water Pump A for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Any against?
2025-158, an ordinance authorizing payment to Itron, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $94,758.77 for services in relation to meter reading data for the Office of Public Utilities.
Motion for consent, Mr. Chair.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-159, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of Polymet ball mill lining system for the Unit 4 ball mill from Modesto Minerals Industries, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $279,204.05 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent, Chair.
Got a motion and a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
2025-160, an ordinance accepting proposal number UE 25-43 with RO's Properties LLC removal and beneficial use of coal combustion byproducts in the amount not to exceed $1 million for the Office of Public Utilities.
Motion for debate.
Second.
All right, this has been moved to debate. Any discussion?
Yes,
Mr. Gregory, go ahead.
Director Brown. So can you talk to me? It's been some information sent to us about this byproduct, and I'm not the best on it, but where it's going in their permitting process and that situation.
Well, it's a beneficial reuse, is for what Orlston Bush has done. They had done it, I believe, in the past at Kincaid, I think, right, wasn't it the Kincaid they were at, Pawnee plant? They were, that closed their portion or whatever, and they moved, what they call Crown 2 mine, for, basically the, what now?
Crown 2.
Crown 2's by Verdon.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a beneficial reuse. It's allowed by law, for that.
It's through DNR, not through IEPA.
Okay. So is it permitted? Is it not permitted?
Yes, it's permitted, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. That's about the most of my questioning, but I will say I'm and this goes along with the coal ash ponds and all of that we're talking about. I just,
Well, this is not the ash ponds. This is for the ash that's generated from Unit 4.
Right, I get it. Ash, waste, all of those things that we're gonna come up on. I just have, I always ask those questions because it feels like we're just moving it from our community to someone else's community. And, so this beneficial use, I just wanted to ask those questions just so I can learn a little bit more about this process. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Alderman Williams?
Yeah, so this contract's for 3 years, correct?
Yes.
And where it's going, does that facility have the correct credentials to receive it?
Yes,
Their license, permit, or whatever, they have
Correct.
what is needed?
correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, real quick, Chair. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
This is the dry ash.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
coming out of- okay,
Yes.
Unit 4.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alderman Conley?
Thank you, Chair. Could you just maybe explain briefly what the beneficial use is for this product and how it's permitted?
Well, I don't know if I can get that far into the permitting process.
Actually,
I
not
think
into
it's
the
by
permitting
IDNR,
process,
but
yeah,
I would need
mean
somebody
that.
else probably to do that part of it for me. But beneficial reuse, though, for them is to help basically the reclamation of the mine. And that's basically the farthest extent that I have of that process, but.
And it has to meet certain criteria to be used as,
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, it has to follow all the IDNR specs for mine reclamation. So as far as the permitting process.
thank you. I just want to be clear, I realize that while this process may be regulated by DNR, I am going to vote on this one because it doesn't directly relate to the DNR permit, is my understanding also, so. Although if it makes any, I guess if there are any questions, I will vote present on this one, just to make sure I don't get into trouble with my day job, but thank you for the explanation.
Anything further, Alderwoman Conley?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Alderwoman Purchase?
Thank you, Chair. Doug, so with something like this, would that be things that we could bring forward from our committee, from the committee that me and Alderwoman Conley would be on, for updates, as I'm hearing some of my colleagues talk about it?
I mean, I don't know what we would discuss really. I mean, as far as this is where the ash product would go.
Okay.
The contract is there, for, as far as the details.
And
but-
I guess too, just for the public too as well, so if we ever have something else come up, like I'm still trying to figure out.
I can see if there's something else that maybe we can talk about in general
Okay.
terms, maybe.
Yeah,
Not-
just for education
Yeah,
wise.
let me see about that.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Notriano?
Thank you, Chair. So what exactly is the use?
It's in the reclamation of the mine, and I don't know for sure, but I believe when they're closing some of their facilities, like their ponds where they have their wastewater, they're dewatering them, and then they're putting a mixture of different materials in there to close those ponds. I'll have to verify that, but I believe that's what they're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, there's a motion to put this on debate with a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
2025-161, an ordinance accepting and authorizing the purchase of power agreement for solar energy resources with AES Clean Energy Development, LLC DBA Sangamon Solar LLC for the 25-year term in the amount not to exceed $13,450,000 annually for the Office of Public Utilities.
Motion for consent.
Second.
I have, thank you. I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chair. Doug, could you just kind of explain briefly, I mean, 13 million looks like a lot of money, but how this works in with our current way that we buy kind of peak power?
So this purchase is for energy and capacity. The energy is the biggest piece of this, really, and the amount of energy that we buy off the market, you know, what we do is we look at the market prices, compared what the existing sources that we have for generation, and then we'll buy, some months we'll buy more, some months we'll buy less. But on average, there's enough for us to fit this 25 megawatts into that to where we would not be buying that from the market anymore.
So this is a reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions because we won't be purchasing off the grid from other
Correct, yes.
potential, thank you.
Yes, because when we buy off the grid, we don't really control that on the,
It's
on
whatever's
the block
available when
purchases,
we need
right?
it in higher demand
Correct.
times.
And this facility is the facility that is located south of Chatham, and gonna be connecting directly to our transmission lines, that run south past Chatham to Ameren.
So there's not a whole lot of work for us to connect into this, to add this to our,
There's a little bit of work, but it's
But not a
pretty minor.
okay,
And all that infrastructure is paid for by this interconnection agreement.
okay, wonderful, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Alderman Gregory?
No, thank you for that explanation. That helped me. This is a good thing for us.
I'm sorry, what was that
This is a good thing for our city,
Oh, yes.
correct?
Right, correct.
So we should be excited about this. As we ask questions about this, this is a step closer to us, you know, not burning coal and things. So, you know, with that said, for me, in my mind, okay, we're going to go here. Are we going to need to further diversify our portfolio and get more?
Absolutely.
Okay. all right.
Yeah, I mean, we've got other things that we're looking at. The problem with, you know, I know this is a bone of contention to some, you know, where you have to, these solar vendors basically don't want to talk to you unless you sign an NDA to work on pricing and stuff like that. So, you know, we can't share a lot of details because they're looking at land options, and then if it gets announced, then somebody else is going to try to come in and take their land, and then, you know, so it's complicated, let's put it that way. That's why it takes so long for these kinds of structures to take place. But, yeah, we are continuing to look at that, and hopefully, you know, we can bring something, you know, within the next year, maybe for some more solar as well.
Yeah, that's where more so I was getting to is keep the pace, trying to you know, meet the needs of clean energy, and we appreciate this step. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you, Chair. So this reminds me of our integrated resource plan. And so I was wondering, how will this fit in with us moving towards the IRP? And then also, like, what's the status update on that?
So I guess the IRP piece, as far as this going, you know, forward into it, it would just be another piece that it gets listed as a contract, essentially a PPA under that, so that, you know, for the next, you know, 20 years, or 25, that's where it's at, right? So that's something that'll be there, that kind of, if we just say if we needed, you know, 200 megawatts, 25 megawatts would be, you know, reduced down. So now we're looking at 175. Does that make sense?
Okay.
On simplest terms,
Yeah,
more or less. That's kind of how that gets input into the IRP.
okay. I'm, like, my concern is, and I'm not super technical and I wasn't here when this happened, but I know before our last IRP, we made a big renewables purchase that turned out to not be a good investment for this city. and we learned that through the IRP. I'm sort of hesitant that this may be a similar situation.
Well, I would say the IRP really didn't determine whether it was bad or not.
But it highlighted that.
Actually, we knew that before then.
Okay.
But the problem with like a long-term contract, if you want the facility to be built, whether we do it ourselves through bonding, where you have to pledge rates for that, in order to secure the bonds from bonds investors, that's, a 30-year type of deal. Same thing with this. The investors or the developers, I should say, that are building the solar farm would not get financing to build it without some long-term agreement. So if we want that option to do that, we don't have a choice if we wanted to do it. We could not do it. We don't have to go forward with a resource to continue to buy off the market. But, like with CEJA, as the more power plants close in our MISO Zone 4, power prices will increase. For our zone, capacity prices will increase. So right now, there's no guarantee that prices will increase, but there's good indications that they are.
Okay.
That's the best we can do. I don't have a crystal ball. If I had a crystal ball, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I appreciate your response. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Williams.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. I think my concern, this is a good thing, and I'm glad that we're doing it. I'm going to be supporting it. But I still always worried about public engagement and engaging our citizens. I feel like, this is $13 million for this particular project, but I think CWOP spends a whole lot of money without engaging the citizens. When we decided we was going to do a plan, I thought we was going to be fine, because we was going to schedule some public meetings and have some public input and engagement. But now that you're saying there's something going on downtown, and so we're not doing the plan, we're not having the hearings. When's the last time you met with the public on any of your projects that CWOP does to get their sense of how they feel about it? And it doesn't matter which group, any of the groups that have an interest in this kind of work that you do.
It's been a while since we've had like a public meeting. I would say the ash ponds are probably the last time that we've done, and I can't remember the date for that. That's probably the last time that we've had some kind of a public hearing on that. And the IRP was probably the last time that we did a bigger, broader, push for that. And then from that, we did an RFP for projects, and this was one of them that back then came forward and said, hey, we're going to build a 100-megawatt facility. Then we had all these issues happen with COVID, supply chains, and the prices doubled. And, the market prices were still pretty low then. So justifying that to the council wasn't really appropriate. But we continued to find out where they're at, what they're doing. And then we did another RFP, which we issued, and that's the result of this.
And I think that's great. I think because we did a plan before, a lot of great things happened. A lot of good stuff got done all the way up to this particular project. So what I'm encouraging and what I'm trying to ask you, Director, is to start the public engagement again. Call it what you want, but we need to be talking.
And we will.
And setting dates and times when the citizens can weigh in on some of this big-time money we're spending. And maybe you can hear their ideals about some of these things and not just work in this silo where it comes to us and then us 10 say, oh yeah, this is good, but we kind of leave people out. Because what happens is we hear from the different groups and we understand. That's why you're experiencing all these different alder people deciding to start asking questions and to get involved, because it has to make sense. And some of it does, some of it doesn't. Some of it is over our heads. But that's why they're the experts. You're not the only expert in Springfield. Your staff's not the only. And I'm just asking for engagement. just do some civic engagement with the groups so that they can have their say and help persuade some of this. I'm hearing things like you serving capacities that is a natural conflict to what you're deciding on how we operate. So to eliminate all that, we got to be
Well,
transparent.
I would say that's a false statement. I don't
Well,
really want to hear
I
that.
don't know.
That's
I don't
not
know,
true.
but that's why we have to have public and be
That's not
transparent.
public engagement.
So you- so
That's
what-
somebody accusing me of not doing my job.
Are you on any boards or in any capacity outside of your job with the city of Springfield connected to the work that you do?
So yes, I serve on the board
Okay,
for the
so-
Illinois Municipal
so
Utility
to- so to
Association, but I don't
eliminate-
put the city second to that.
We don't know. I just asked for the public engagement just to make sure.
Well, I'm not gonna sit there though and do the accusatory type stuff. I'll engage, and we're going to engage as a utility with the IRP process. Just as I explained with the legislation issues with that, we're not gonna have meetings now and then have more meetings next week and then more meetings in another month. We're gonna have those meetings so we can get the input from everybody, not just from select groups. We represent the entire city, and we're gonna make sure that everybody has a voice in that IRP
Well,
process.
everybody will be invited to the meeting, right?
Absolutely.
So you will be doing what I'm asking. So
Oh,
my
for
thing is
sure.
when?
Well, again, we want to make sure that the legislative process is done, so we know what's going on. Just as was mentioned that, we could be grandfathered. Well, I did get to see that after that meeting, some proposed language, and it basically said that there'll be grandfathering if you followed the full intent of the bill. Well, we don't know what's in the bill yet, final. That's not going to happen until it passes. The bill that sits there has not been amended whatsoever. So whatever happens, we want to make sure that we comply with it because there is money on the table that we can go get from the state, if it's appropriated, that would help fund that IRP process and help pay for some of that, up to, I think, $250,000. I would like to see $500,000, but the $250 is definitely something that we shouldn't just pass over. So I want to make sure that happens. And I don't want to waste our time doing that and having, those meetings take a lot of staff time. It's not insignificant. So we don't want to waste our time. We want to make sure we put the good value. This particular piece, this 25 megawatts, has been worked on for years now. I've done presentations in the past that showed kind of where our load profile is, where their solar is, to the council. They're out there. So it's a good thing to have, this solar. I think you all agree with that. The public participation is going to happen with the IRP, and we're going to go over all of that for all the resource options.
I won't prolong it. I'll just say that, to me, it's just like we meeting right now. But when they meet too, and they got session two, we might as well not make any decisions, because they may come up with something. I mean, I just not getting it. And it's probably personal. Maybe I just ain't getting it. But I don't think that stops you from starting now, having these engagements about having meetings with your public. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second for consent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Public Works, 2025-162, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Springfield Park District and the City of Springfield for overlay work at Washington Park and Centennial Park and sidewalk right-of-way on East Cornell Avenue in the amount not to exceed $223,654.50 for the Office of Public Works.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
Alderman Rocker?
Director Fuchs, please. My question is this something new? Is this something that's going to be continuous?
This is actually a continuation of a process that we engage in about every 2 or 3 years, a cooperative effort between between Public Works, the city, and the Park District. And what it is we sort of allow them to be a part of our overlay project for some very, very short stretches of pavement. And so we're going to be at Washington Park and Centennial Park out by the dog park is what it is. And then the sidewalks are actually out by Eisenhower Pool there on Cornell on the south side of the pool. So it happens about every 2 or 3 years, and it's very, very short pieces of overlay that, since we are in the process of doing it and they need it, it's it's more convenient for everybody.
Is it an exchange of properties or
No,
is this something?
no, we're gonna overlay a couple of short stretches of pavement, and then we're gonna replace a sidewalk there by Eisenhower Pool.
Thank you.
So they're properties that will remain under the jurisdiction of the Park District.
Right. Thank you.
Alderman Gregory.
No, I would just commenting, I'm in agreement with it. The area over by Eisenhower Aquatic Center, not only that, but all the way down, over the recent years, we put a sidewalk, the city's put a sidewalk on that back street. A lot of kids, walking the street and things, and they got that hill over there. So it has played out dividends. The district did their part, up to them. So I'm happy to see this portion finish out that connection. So thank you. I appreciate it.
As I say, I think this happens about every 2 or 3 years. It's the first time it's happened on my watch.
Absolutely. It needs that.
Thank you, Director. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-163, an ordinance accepting lowest bid and authorizing the execution of a contract PW 25-02-66 with Lincoln Land Concrete, Inc. and Capital Ready Mix, Inc. to purchase ready mix concrete and related materials for the amount not to exceed $325,000 to the Office of Public Works and City Water, Light, and Power.
Motion for consent. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-164, an ordinance accepting lowest responsible bid and authorizing execution of contract PW 2502-65 with P.H. Broughton and Sons, Inc., Truman Flatt and Sons, Inc., Group Materials, Inc., and Crown Trucking, Inc. for the FY26 maintenance materials for the amount not to exceed $1,012,064 for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
2025-165, an ordinance accepting RFP PWF 2555 with E.L. Pruitt and Company, Petersburg Plumbing and Excavating LLC, and P.H. Broughton and Sons, Inc., for the cave-in repairs for 12 months in the amount not to exceed $1,550,000 for the Office of Public Works.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
General City Business, 2025-166, an ordinance to decrease the number of Class D liquor licenses by one due to the sale of business for the Rail Yard LLC, DBA Rail Yard, located at 2242 South 6th Street.
Motion for consent?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-167, an ordinance authorizing the decrease of number of Class A liquor licenses by one due to the closure of business by Causes Pizza, Inc., DBA Jack McNamara's Par 4 Lounge, located at 7036 Kings Mill Court.
Move to consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-169, an ordinance authorizing payment of workers' compensation settlement with Brian Freeze, a current City Springfield Fire Department employee, for a settlement of workers' compensation claim in case number 23-WC-016745 in the amount not to exceed $37,425.75.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-170, an ordinance authorizing payment of workers' compensation settlement with Seth DeMaljo, a current City Springfield Fire Department employee, for settlement of workers' compensation claim case number 24-WC-017899 in the amount not to exceed $61,127.70.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-171, an ordinance amending Chapter 132-04 of the 1988 City Code of Ordinances and amended to make a local violation of impersonate of public official of the City of Springfield.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Is this Alderman Gregory? Mr. Rockford, I think you're still on there from earlier.
Oh, my bad.
Thank you.
Assistant General Corporation Counsel, can you go over this ordinance? I don't have a problem with it, but can you go
Sure.
over
So
it?
this tracks state statute, which makes it an offense to impersonate a city official or a city employee. This would allow us to issue an ordinance violation instead of a state violation. It would allow us to pursue it in our administrative court.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderman. Alderman Williams.
No, that answered my question, thank you.
All right, thank you. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-172, an ordinance amending Chapter 94, Article 9 of the 1988 City Code of Ordinances as amended to charge fees to assist living facilities, independent living facilities, nursing care, and nursing home facilities for lift assists.
Motion for debate.
Oh, debates. Second.
Any discussion? Yes, Alderman Williams.
Yes. Springfield Assisted Living on Clear Lake is in Ward 3, of course, and they called me and they had some concerns, corporate counsel, and I'm glad this is on debate because this is going to give us an extra week because in that particular facility, majority of the clients are on Medicare or Medicaid, and I have questions on that fee. Who would pay it? Would it be the facility? Would it be the actual client? I have questions concerning even in talking to the facility on would they start saying, that client's a little heavy. They may not be able to say it legally, I mean, say it out loud, but then they start making it hard to take them in to become clients because they're worried about if they fall, they have to pay this fee to get out there. At the same time, I don't want anybody abusing the city either. I think we have to try to find a way to punish the people who are abusing the system. I talked to Chief. Come on up, Chief, if you would, please. And the chief told me my number for that facility was 1. But they would be caught up in this whole thing, 1 this year, I'll say, in 25. But if there's one that's doing it with a bunch of big numbers, we may need to look at that. I mean, I don't know if it's staff shortage, if it's this workman's comp deal where, hey, don't even chance to just call the fire department, whatever. Again, I read what Decatur did. I read what a few other municipalities did. I'm not against this, but I want to make sure it's not passed on to people who already are barely making it and can't get in. So I appreciate you guys' support if this remains on debate to give us an extra week to dig into this a little more.
Right,
And Chief,
right.
I'll
That's
turn
what
it
I
to
said. I'd bring my pad of paper and any questions you have, I'll try to get answers for.
Okay.
It is a fee to a facility, so people in their private home or anything like that, it's not billed to the individual. Now, if that fee is passed on, just like anything, taxes and all that, business owners pass that on to their client eventually, but it is a fee to the facility. And, most of the facilities around town, just like you said, that facility, one time. Some of the other municipalities have a deal where you get a free pass, a couple free passes before you're charged for it. But no, so, like I said, it is to the facility. And,
Well, yeah, I'm just suggesting to my colleagues that we really look at this and think about it and see if there's a way we can come up with some kind of plan or a way to do just what you said. Maybe not the first time or second time even, but maybe when you do the third time, then it kicks in or something like that, because I don't want people who are overweight discriminated against. And then also, they shared with me, they'll stop reporting and start asking their roommate to help them up. Or now they got 2 people down on the floor. So it's a lot more to this, and I just want us to dig in it while we got this extra week and then come back. This probably will pass in some kind of form, or I'll support it because I don't want the city abused either. Thank you again.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. I think Alderman Williams actually asked a couple of my questions already. I just wanted to know, if you could, Chief, what are comparable costs that other communities charge for this service?
So Alderman Williams brought up Decatur. They charge $500 Peoria, I believe, is at 800. Other communities are anywhere from 350 to 800. It varies. There is a community out there that does charge individuals. I don't think I don't think we have the appetite for that, you know, because people are already having a rough time. So, but there's a variety out there. They do charge $100 per time for the individuals, but this is pretty average. So.
And then, is this the kind of cost that can be recouped through insurance charges? I mean, as Alderman Williams mentioned, you know.
So again, it's for the facility, so it would be on the facility. I don't know that the facilities have insurance to cover that. They're supposed to have staff that would provide these services to the people. So one of the facilities reached out and said, well, we don't do that. We have staff. And that's exactly right. You have staff. You're not the problem. Yes, we respond to your facility multiple times, but it's because you have people that need to go to the hospital that are injured, having trouble breathing, cardiac problems. That's not what this is about. This is for people who maybe can't, have slid to the ground out of a chair and are uninjured and just need help back into the chair, or they're in a chair and need transferred to a bed, and that they don't have the staff or aren't hiring the staff to provide those services.
And I guess and I appreciate you bringing that out, because I think I wasn't quite certain that was clear in the language, so that, and I don't know if Corporation Counsel, if we need some maybe extra clarification that this only applies when the lift is the sole service and there's no other, I mean, like, you're not lifting someone up and then getting them in an ambulance to take them in for medical care. I wasn't entirely certain when I read it that I picked up that those were two separate kinds of calls, and I don't know. Are you comfortable that you think it is?
We tried to cover that in the definition by saying it's required to physically move a person from that person's position to a different position who does not require emergency medical treatment or transportation. We thought that showed that there wasn't actually any medical emergency or any medical transport that was needed, but we'll look to see if we can't refine that definition.
And I'm sorry, where was that?
Under subsection A, definitions
under the lift,
3.
yep,
So that's why we used lift assist. We tried to put
okay,
it in
and clicked. Thank you. That was just my sloppy reading. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, so as long as, right, it does not, yeah, I read that much too quickly. That's what I get for vacation reading. Thank you, Chief.
Okay. All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Chair. So, this is definitely very, very concerning. On one hand, we obviously have some facilities that are taking care of our most vulnerable population and not adequately staffed to perform a job. So, I think it's important for us as a council to get those type of numbers and so we can identify where these at. Because I think in any manner, whether we charge or not, these facilities have to do better. Because one of the things that comes from it is, our guys and women getting hurt and going through this workers' comp thing and things of that nature. So that doesn't stop with just charging them a fee, and maybe it'll bring it down for the abuse portion of it, those who are abusing the system. But I'm concerned about the overall health of those people in those facilities, and I think it's important for us to know and really look at that along with what we require as a city for those type of locations to have. I know we had some good conversations. There's been good conversations about our ambulance system and what they need to do and step it up, and I look forward to seeing that come forward so we can sort of put that in place and see if that will help us decrease those type of calls, as well as some other conversations that I'd love to have. But I think debate is where we need to have this so we can look at some numbers and things like that, because what we don't want is unintended consequences. We don't want for some facilities to, in any manner, pass along fees to elders because they're not doing their job. And this is an unfortunate conversation that we even have to address about.
It is, and
calls. I read the information from Decatur, and seen those calls drop significantly when they did charge a fee. So there is some gameplay, but that's concerning within itself. No matter how we address it, is more so what I'm worried about.
Right, and in the ordinance,
Sure.
don't let me interrupt you if
No,
you're still
you're
going.
good.
But in the ordinance, I stole from Decatur, and that this would sunset after a year, or that we would bring it back up after a year, so that we can decide, is it working, is it beneficial, are there unintended consequences? Does that fee need to change? All of that could be brought back up after a year, and we'll bring it back to see if it's working or what we need to change.
I appreciate you bringing this topic forward. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Donlin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief, is it appropriate to say that the genesis of this concept for the ordinance is the fact that we have bad facilities, bad actors that are out there presently?
We do have some bad actors out there presently, and we also have an escalating workers' comp, as you just approved 2 settlements for workers' comp.
Well, they go hand in hand, for sure.
They definitely go hand in hand.
You know, I share the concerns of my colleagues. I think the concept of appropriately billing the facilities that need this assistance, because they're more or less required to have the staff to do these types of lifts presently. And what I hear you saying is they're not, and then they're relying on the department, and the department is therefore bearing the risk.
Correct. The liability, instead of being on the private company, is on the citizens of Springfield, the taxpayers.
We are home rule, and what I would encourage you and/or Corporation Council to look into in the next week is the fact that we do have more powers than some units of government by being home rule, that maybe we have a way to ensure that the passing along of the fees does not occur, because that does not seem fair at all. Obviously, no one wants to have to call emergency services to be assisted with, especially in these types of circumstances. So it's only logical that if you have a facility where you are sending your loved one, or where you presently are for that matter, and you're relying on their expertise and they don't have the appropriate staff that they're required to have, it is not right and not fair, and I won't vote for anything that allows that fee to be charged to those individuals. It's just not right.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, well, I'll get with corporate counsel on that.
All right, any further discussion or any further questions for Chief? All right, thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to place this on the debate agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
2025-173, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a 2024 F-250 crew cab truck from Marl Brothers Ford, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $68,477 under the state contract 21-416-P-29479 for the Springfield Fire Department.
Move for consent.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-174, an ordinance authorizing sponsorship payment of $15,000 to Mies Promotions LLC, the Springfield Mile, to be held at August 30th, 2025 through August 31, 2025 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-175, an ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity to accept, execute, and supplemental appropriate Route 66 grant agreement between July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 for an additional amount not to exceed $19,582 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-176, an ordinance authorizing sponsorship payment of $30,000 to the Juneteenth, Inc. for the 2025 Juneteenth celebration pursuant to the Article 7, Chapter 37, Section 37.62 of the 1988 Springfield City Code of Ordinances as amended for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Alderwoman Purchase.
Chair, Clerk, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor too.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
I would like to also be added.
Oh, okay, very good. Anybody else?
Roy?
Oh, they know I'm there.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
2025-177, an ordinance authorizing sponsorship to International Route 66 Mother Road Festival, Inc., to be held September 26, 2025 through September 28, 2025, in the amount not to exceed the payment of $35,000 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-178, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of transportation services and miscellaneous expenses for groups in the FY26 authorization of a supplemental appropriation in the amount not to exceed $150,000, approved pursuant to Chapter 38.35 for contracts under $150,000 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none.
well,
Whoop,
sorry.
we do have some discussion.
I was just wondering.
Alderwoman Conley.
Is there any way, have we explored if the Wyndham has insurance that can help cover some of these costs for us, or is this solely going to be a city expense?
I think Mr. Dahl's here. We can.
I know he's here. I was
Yep,
just
there he is.
putting it out there.
Yeah, so these are all conventions that we have sourced through our office. You know, we feel obligated for that. So, you know, we want to be sure that they stay in town for future years. I think our options are open, and we'll consider all options down the road. But for now, this is our immediate need. And we had groups immediately, as soon as the Wyndham closed, we had groups coming in that next week, and we had to provide transportation services, meeting room rental, et cetera. And you know, I think the Springfield Hotel Lodging Association, especially the sales departments at the hotels, they really worked with us. And the Visit Springfield team and their professionalism on making those turns, we've turned over 20 groups just in the past few weeks.
Well, and I mean, we know how important it is to have these conventions coming in, to have these people in the, especially in downtown, where we're trying to, you know, to strengthen that part. I have no problem with that. I would just ask that at least these conversations also be had with Wyndham, that, you know, their deferred maintenance is certainly creating issues. And if they have insurance that would help offset some of these costs, it would be nice if we could recoup some of that.
I think we need to leave our options open.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Gregory.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think I agree with you in some areas on that, Alderwoman Conley, but I will say that we have to look at the Wyndham from, and this is not on you, Director, but from a council perspective. It's on us that it's not done.
It's not on us, we don't own it.
That's my opinion, that you can have another one, but it's on us as a council that it's not done. So while we're worried about this, you know, the transport, when we had the conversation, we talk about rooms, we need rooms. Now we don't have any rooms at all. We was only gonna be short 25, 50 rooms. Now we don't have any rooms at all because we didn't want to help the man do the window. And I truly, truly believe if it had been somebody else, we'd be walking down that path and the Wyndham is done. So when I sit up here, we have to start really doing what we need to do to the city. Has anybody talked to them? Where are we at on the Wyndham as far as redevelopment? Anybody know anything? Miss Amy, anybody?
So we provided them an offer in late 2023 and have not received a response with that incentive package.
Okay. Well, I would say I would really love to re-engage with them because, you know, we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep approving some things. Our downtown is in bad shape. We got an expiring TIF, et cetera, et cetera. Back to what I'm talking about last week, Growth Alliance, all this craziness. We got the window sitting over it. What? But we need the rooms. We got big things coming out south, hotels coming up out there. What we don't want when we first talked about it, we don't want the rest of the city to dry up. And this is for us up here. We better stop playing or the rest of the city is going to be crumbling like some of the bigger cities in America, and the outskirts and the suburbs are going to be the place to be. That's my take, man. So let's not be too hard on the window. Because we got to move people to a hotel we shouldn't have been, in my opinion. All the complaints that people have on it at times, our legislators and everything else, should be advertising to stay at anyway from a city perspective. Especially after we didn't get it nothing done to it. We should have been like, well, we're not going to advertise people to stay there, but we need the rooms. It makes no sense. So thank you. I appreciate the time, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Donlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Dahl, I'm not sure if this is a question for you, the Public Works Department, or the PD, but, obviously this is a hot topic in Springfield. We deal with associations and what I do from throughout the state, and everybody's asking what happened downtown? What's wrong with, why is the Wyndham closed? Could someone give the public a very succinct explanation of why it's closed right now?
Well, it's closed because there was reportedly some intentional vandalism, and they're unable to operate their elevators, and I believe their fire suppression. The Springfield Fire Department can probably answer that better. But yeah, I mean, they're closed because they can't operate at this point.
I mean, and I know you can't, nor do you probably know, but I know you can't answer who we suspect, how it happened, but obviously it was an extremely nefarious individual or individuals or groups or whatever that caused these problems to happen. It happened, from what I recall, nearly overnight. We had citizens, people from out of town, legislators. I've heard from multiple entities, individuals that, basically had to leave the premises so they weren't allowed back in. And, it's nothing that just happened. It seems to be, I'll say it that way to be careful here, but extremely intentional. Someone hopefully is going to be held accountable, someone or some group or what have you. And I agree that this is something that is vital, and most of us, if not all of us, argued when we were considering past projects there to convert the property to some form of apartments, which I was opposed to because we need the rooms. And but what I would like to point out is you, the mayor, the city, were dealt something completely unexpected, something not good, needless to say, and you've gone above and beyond in trying to ensure, and that's what this ordinance is all about, trying to ensure that we keep these conventions in the city and go above and beyond, and I just appreciate it. I heard the mayor talking about it at Citizens Club last week. I've heard you talk about it on the radio and this evening. And I just can't recall that, Springfield, although we are a medium to large size city, we're not a Chicago where we have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hotel rooms, but each of the facilities are vital to our, health and welfare because it generates so many dollars. I know 60% is something you strive for. We don't want to accomplish it this way. But, Mayor, I appreciate your direction and what's occurred and how, and how we're trying to make sure that we keep what's already booked and keep what is forthcoming. But I agree with Alderman McGregor. You said it earlier that we need that hotel needs to be vital. It needs to be operating, and whatever we need to do, let's figure it out. Because, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because what you do, but gosh darn it, I personally have been involved in organizations. We have conventions. We've had them in downtown before, and people like to come downtown. It's got a unique feel to it, but we got to have the I almost said Hilton, but the Wyndham back, whatever we call it, and anything you can do, anything we can do. Let's be creative. Let's think outside the box.
Well, thank you, and I will leave the status of the Wyndham to the investigators on your question there. And I will say this, we have an owner across the street that's going to invest millions of dollars in their property, and that property the DoubleTree is a solid property anyway. They're putting millions into it, and we have new investments going on at the sports park. We have a new home too, right up there on the interstate. So we have new hotel product. We just have to solve this issue, right? And I will say that the Visit Springfield team has showed their professionalism, showed their worth, and they made it look easy, and this was not easy. And our groups are okay. Our conventions are okay. We have nobody jumping ship.
We've not lost anybody?
We haven't lost anybody.
It's amazing.
Yet. Yes. So we are moving forward, and that's what we're looking at, and I think this is what this ordinance is about, and this is going to get us to the other side.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Williams.
Yes, so this ordinance addresses relocation and movement for the next 90 to 120 days. Do we have an actual date that the Wyndham has said they'll be back to normal operation?
The Wyndham has not provided us a date. They've provided us this 90 to 120-day outlook. That's all we have at this point. We're waiting on the Wyndham and their ownership group and/or the management group to let us know farther out. That would be involved in our fall or winter conventions.
Okay,
So we haven't notified anybody of that because we have not heard from the Wyndham.
thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Purchase?
Thank you, Chair. Corporation Council, have we heard from the Wyndham?
On this particular issue, not on the civil side. So I would defer to our investigators because they've been dealing with management to the extent that management was there. But we have not addressed ongoing issues on my side.
I would hope, we're about to be in May, so I would hope that we hear something by June or July from them to state where they're at, plans to address, and it's a little alarming that, and it's nothing towards anybody, but it's alarming that they have not reached out to talk to you at all. So we have Alderman Gregory talking about the help that we need to give them, but they also have some accountability too, like they need our help. So I would think that they would also reach out to say, hey, what can we do? Can we all come and sit at the table? Well, Mr. Disco.
Hi there. I've talked to Scott Larson. I didn't talk to him last week, but I've been talking to him every week just to keep updated. He explained Service Master and all the water damage they were controlling, and I've not got an update yet on the elevators. But it's just conversation, just hoping moving forward.
I understand that. So again, I hope to see some type of plans or hear something mid-June or July from them as we're going into the fall season, as Director Scott said, with our tourism, things that we have going, because this is really going to affect also Route 66, Juneteenth. You have individuals who can stay on Dirksen, but most people come to our downtown. Legislators coming back in October for veto session. There's a lot going on and a lot at stake right now, too.
They can stay on there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
2025-179, an ordinance authorizing execution of a redevelopment agreement with allocations with the Springfield Partners 4 LLC for the rehabilitation of the central downtown in the amount not to exceed $2,646,760 located at 529 South 7th Street for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Motion for consent?
Motion for debate.
And we have a motion for debate. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion and a second for debate. Any discussion? Alderman Gregory.
Yes. So I just had a couple questions. I was going to put it on consent, but I do have a couple questions about the project, and this will be for staff. When does our downtown TIF expire? Julia's here. That question, you knew
It
it.
expires in 2028, but we can pay out until 2030.
Okay. I like how it's spread out. I don't think that's a bad option. And what does this leave in this TIF? And let me say this, first of all, I'm happy for this project. It's in the, what I call the southeast portion of downtown, a building that's been vacant for some time, so I'm happy to see this project. But I'm asking these questions on for moving forward purposes, because I know we're using quite a bit of TIF.
So for this year, are you asking how much is left for this year?
Just all together after we.
We have we have roughly $9 million until the TIF expires. We have $3 million allocated for this year. We can pay out.
Okay.
But it just kind of depends on the year and how much we get in revenue.
Okay. All right. Mr. Stone, I know you can't tell us who's going to take over the building, but I will say, can you? Can you?
Excuse me?
Can you tell us? You lean forward like
I cannot.
All right.
Everybody's doing it.
I wish I could. I think that there's some variables involved that you probably understand that is the reason why I probably can't say anything right now.
I understand. So I'll say this, it's been vacant for a while. I'm happy that you got a game plan to do it. I'm on a hop on minority hiring and getting people on the work right now. I would love to see that on this project as I ride by. And just finally, if whatever this entity moves out or whatever, as long as you have it, I just expect the top quality of building maintenance and keeping it up and stuff until you find a new tenant or sold. That's all I ask.
You will get that from me, yes.
All right, thank you. So I'll move that we put it on consent as well.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to put it on consent. There's some further discussion. Alderwoman Conley?
Just really briefly, so just to be clear, if you don't currently have a tenant for this, do you plan to go forward with this project even without someone in it, or, like, we don't pay you unless this work is done, is what I'm trying
Correct.
to ask. Okay, sorry, I'm
It's all
backwards
good.
today. I just want to say, I worked downtown for a significant chunk of my career, and I really loved being downtown. I think it'd be exciting to see such a large property. Can you tell us how many offices this can hold? What the capacity kind of is, or what your,
I can tell you how many people, so AT&T at one point had over 600 people in there. I think that we're probably looking at well over 400 people,
and this comes with parking,
and it does come with parking.
which I know is, and not new parking, but an existing lot that's already there.
Existing lot that's already there, obviously, if we have more people there than that existing lot can hold, we have planned for accommodating all the people that would be in the facility to be parking within, I would say, within a block of the facility.
We talked briefly about this. I used to walk quite a bit more than one block. I was
Right.
cheap. And then just real quickly, you did mention, I don't know if you want to talk about it, how you're already using some of this space to support existing businesses? Parking spaces for other,
Say that again, I apologize.
are you, you had mentioned that the possibility of like other businesses using this parking in off hours too, or?
Yeah, so we actually, when we purchased the parking from the Stearns, we actually did an agreement with Karen Kahn at Obed and Isaacs to be able to provide her parking, because she had a parking issue where she didn't have any parking for her restaurant, so we worked in agreement with her to be able to provide her 36 spots.
I appreciate that. Yeah, exciting to see more, would like to see more people coming to downtown at all times of the day and night. So thank you for that. Looking forward to this one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Alderwoman Conley. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I just want to, for the record, there was a motion to put it on debate. You've withdrawn that motion, correct, Alderman?
Yes, motion for consent.
All right, very good. And we have a motion and a second for the consent, correct? Very good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Any further ordinances, Mr. Clerk? All right, it is now time for unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before the committee? Seeing none, is there any new business before the committee? Oh, what? Oh, you pushed a button. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Alderwoman Purchase, I thought that was from the last discussion. I apologize. Alderwoman Purchase, please.
That's okay, Chair. I know we had a moment of silence earlier for the community of Chatham and the tragic of the loss of 4 young lives. There's a few important points I want to touch on. This accident shows how quickly emergencies can overwhelm local blood supplies. It's the blood already on hand donated before tragedy strikes that gives doctors the tools to save lives in critical moments. So today, Impact Life has added 200 more slots to the Springfield location for this week to the scheduler portal, restock and prepare for the future crisis. I urge all eligible residents to donate. Your gift can be the difference between life and loss for someone else's child. Let's honor the memory of these children by strengthening our emergency readiness and offering hope to others. You can contact Impact Life's website, or you can see Teresa Tran, who's the co-chair board member of Impact Life, for questions. She's in the audience. Could you raise your hand? So I think it's really important. What happened yesterday was just really, really sad, and to see young lives taken from us. And this is a way that people can also help. And it's not just I'm always saying something, even when somebody in our community on the east side life is taken. But this is a way that I saw was a big impact, and I know Teresa personally with Impact Lives too, with that board. So please see her if any of you would like to donate, or please go to their website. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Point well taken. Appreciate that. Alderman Gregory.
Yes, I'm gonna shorten up my thing because it's freezing in here. But I would, old business, this falls under old business. A few weeks ago, we talked about our minority contractor numbers and things, and I just want to compliment Mr. Lesko. I appreciate you. You've done an excellent job each time you've sent out some information. It's been well. I appreciate you. So, and for me going forward, so with our contracts, and can you educate me? So on our contracts, when somebody gets a contract with the city, let's say Green Track at Pillsbury, do they have to look for a subcontractor? Don't we have something like that?
Well, we don't require contractors to use a subcontractor.
Okay.
If they do utilize a subcontractor, there are requirements to reach out for female minority business entities, enterprises, for subcontracting purposes.
Okay.
So there is that requirement in city code.
But
Yes.
that's if they use subcontractors.
That's if they use, correct.
Okay.
If they don't, there's no, I mean, it's just their business that they're employing.
And
So-
then, so with their goals and things, do we automatically try to say, hey, this is the goal that we want to see you at with
Yeah, yes, there are goals for both minority female business enterprises, as well as labor participation enterprises. Some of those are set with the help of the Community Relations Commission. And then those are tracked through our ePrism software and some of that information that I provided.
Yes.
Is both good and bad, obviously.
I guess what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is how do we get better representation of minorities on things that we have put out for contract and bid? How do we get more participation from our contractors? Whether they go to the labor hall and pull some brothers and sisters from the labor hall and women from the laborers, or how are we going to get better at that? I have some ideas. But
Yeah, I'd be happy to hear any ideas and be happy to reach out. I try to reach out.
Absolutely.
You know.
You've done a great, listen,
for-
this is my conversation right now is that out of total admiration for you and respect for the honest numbers that you have given me, because, you know, it's concerning.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think sometimes it's, you know, we need entities who, and we're trying to make some internal measures to make our bid process a little easier to understand. Because I'm the first one to admit that some of how we have our boilerplate and how our information is laid out is not good. We've been working on trying to update that to try and make it easier. I think, you know, businesses who are interested in doing business with the city can always reach out to me. The purchasing pages on the first page of the city's website, information to contact me is on there. We can work with them to get them in our vendor portal, to try and work with them, to try and, you know, get them to understand the city process. I'm happy to do that.
Do you think it will help for us to have our separate, and Ethan, I don't want to step on your department toes, but do you think at this point of where we're at and seeing numbers and things, it would be helpful for us to have more of a MBE program that is proactive, similar to the state? I imagine Ethan is working on something fancy.
Well, absolutely. I think, you know, when we look at other comparable cities such as Champaign, and I apologize, my face moved a little weird. I have a tooth infection, so this side is all numb. So I'm good. It's just, I look a little bit strange. But, you know, there's programs like the CDAP program like they have in Champaign and some other comparable cities that I think it would be worth us looking into. Granted, a lot of these other cities have a different sized budget. They have different departments that have been invested and built. So I'm not saying that we can look at necessarily another comparable city and copy and paste what they have into what we have here. But I think we have been looking into, we even sat down with the Growth Alliance and, the Springfield Urban League and CAP 1908 and said, what issues are we seeing? As far as our participation numbers, I do think it would be worth looking into separating our minority business enterprise goals and our female business enterprise goals. The reason I say that is because of the types of businesses we have there. We have plenty of female-owned businesses that are constantly being signed off on as subcontractors, because I sign off on every good faith effort for trucking companies, for sewer companies, for things that are vital to the infrastructure that we have here in the city. What we're missing is a lot of local minority-owned businesses that are either registered or that are applying for our opportunities with the city to be, or companies that work with us to be considered for being subcontractors on those certain public works projects that are over $50,000. And I don't hold that against our, minority business owners or vendors. I just feel that we have a lot more minority businesses that are tailored to avenues that are outside of that public works sphere. And so, encouraging and increasing the amount of local businesses, minority-owned businesses that are in that lane and in that sphere, I think will, increase our numbers there. It's a matter of education and increasing capacity for those businesses. And I think that there are a lot of different things that we can look at. I think that we've, over these first 2 years of the administration, have been doing a lot of fact-finding and research to say, where are we behind, not just from a visual standpoint, but from a number standpoint. And now that we've looked at that, we've contacted the minority businesses that we have on our list. We saw who was registered with the state, who wasn't, contacted every business on the list that would respond to us. And the fact is, some business owners who are in our community just simply don't trust government entities. So they may not want to be registered with the state, and that's their prerogative. Now that we know that, we can begin working on different ways locally here at the city and saying, okay, what can we do to ensure that you'd want to be registered with us? What can we do to start increasing people's desire to look on the State Journal Register website or constantly look on the City of Springfield website and say, I think that I can be utilized here in helping my community. So I think now would be a good time for you as a council, because I'm pretty positive there would have to be some type of ordinance that would come forth and be voted on, to look at, okay, how do we approach the minority business enterprise and female business enterprise differently, so that way we can get a more accurate representation of how we're tracking those numbers and how businesses are, cooperating and trying to meet those goals.
I got you. And I only ask those questions. I know the administration is working on that. I've sat in meetings with her strong on this and was echoed, right by her. So I know we're going in this direction. But I think, time is money, money is time, in which each day going by, projects is getting done, money is made, and everybody's not making something. So I would like to have those conversations and really come up and put our heads together. It's been something that is important, and with more and more knowledge, you start peeling back a nasty onion, an old onion, it stinks, and it's time for us to really get some things together in the city. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely. One thing I would say that we've begun working on that I would encourage us all to continue to support is we have one of the best minority workforce development programs at Lincoln Lane Community College that you're going to find in the country. I've lived all over the country, and that program, the opportunities it provides, the amount of apprenticeships with our local unions that come directly out of that program, I think are second to none everywhere. I feel like we need to very much support and push the narrative that I understand a traditional four-year college is not for everybody, and you don't have to monitor success or measure your success based on a four-year college or a degree. You don't have to measure whether you're a hero of your community or not based on whether you're pulling kittens out of a tree or saving somebody from a fire. If you have the means to have a company to fix the roof of the little old lady that lives down the street.
I appreciate
or
you.
something.
I
You know,
appreciate you,
I think that we should support that. I think we do a good job of that already, but we can always do a better job. And increasing that education, increasing that capacity will increase our numbers.
I got you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the conversation. I won't belabor the point. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Notrana.
Thank you, Chair. So my unfinished business is related to, it's been a while since we've been out, and since this has been a topic of discussion, but I wanted to check in with my colleagues and see if they were able to take a look at the library rubric for violations that Murdoch sent around a couple weeks ago. No? Okay. You did? Okay. Well, great. Thank you for that. So I looked it over and was playing around with it, and I had some ideas that I like to bring to you all. In checking it out, it's really handy because they break it down into illegal behaviors, unsafe behaviors, and disruptive behaviors. And in here, we mostly deal with the disruptive. And looking at the consequences on the library rubric, they seem to me to be very reasonable, like suspending a person's privilege, library privilege for a day, as opposed to suspending your privilege at city council for a month or something. So I think, if you would like to take a look at what I'm working on, and if you're interested in it, please reach out to me and let me know. I just think that there's some ways that we can set some standards with public comment and meeting rules, and put ourselves in a situation where our meetings are going to run more smoothly, and people are going to know what's expected of them and what is out of bounds. One thing I don't want us to do is to tone police and try to force people into behavior that is, behavior that is foreign to them, let's say, right? Because not everyone is, a businessman or attorney. Not everyone communicates in the same way or has the same vocabulary. And I think when we're developing the rubric, if we choose to, I think we should really keep that front of mind. So, thanks.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Gregory.
Just real quick on this subject, I don't have a problem with the consideration at all. I dread it because I might break some rules myself. But anyway, Murdoch, but even if we adopted as a council this rubric, the mayor still would have her powers to enforce.
So the mayor would still have the power to enforce the rules, but there would be the rubric for what the violations would be. And so if the city council set it, a violation, if you use a certain word, it's a one meeting, or a 1 day suspension or whatever, we would follow that as the administration. The point where that wouldn't take place would be the video, because there's no city council action that requires the video and the broadcasting, so there's a little more discretion there. But for disruptive behavior or violations here, we would be bound by what the council passes in the rubric.
So how does that work among us? I mean, at times we have heated conversations. I might slip up or something. I just want to be clear on what we're doing and things of that nature.
So,
it is what it is.
So the city council has a separate set of rules. That's section 10 of our city council rules, which go towards demeanor. Because you are elected officials and you have a right to be here, and this is your meeting, you can be publicly censured. We do have a method to have you removed in certain instances, but you all have been elected to be here and to vote, and there's a very high bar for you to be removed, because by removing you, we're removing the vote of your ward. And so that is a you fall under a different set of
Thank you. I
rules
just
under-
wanted a clarification. Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Any new business?
Of course.
All right. Alderwoman Purchase.
So we know this is a fun time of the year for us being live in the 5. We have the 2025 Fat Ass 5K and Street Party Charity coming up. We're just 2 weeks away, and my girls asked me to do an announcement. It will be Saturday, May 10th at 8 a.m. And then I just wanted to just say and reiterate what the event is about, because I know sometimes I'm excited. I see a lot of people out. My colleagues come out and do it. That's the good time that I get all of y'all to be out with me. So the Fat Ass 5K and Street Party for Charity was invented on a napkin in the Celtic Mist Pub on St. Patrick's Day in 2008. Walk or run the route through the historic downtown Springfield, Illinois. We have donated over $1.9 million to charity since 2008. The route includes beer, corn dogs, donuts, and many other stops along the live music and entertainment throughout. And a lot of our local businesses participate in this each and every year. The 5K is followed by a street party that includes cold Pepsi products, cold beer, barbecue, and live music by Captain Greet and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. This race is not professionally timed and is open to all fitness and ability levels. Please help us continue supporting our charities in 2025. So there's still time for each of you all in the audience to sign up, come out, or you can just cheer us on as we walk past and jog 3 steps and walk 5 steps and just stop at each booth to get something to eat. But it's a really, really good time, and the weather is always good. So I'll be doing a friendly reminder next week. Thank you.
And they usually give you a great T-shirt, too.
Yes, we were pretty bright and blue last year. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Any other new business? All right, seeing none, it is now time for the citizens to address the committee.
Mr. Chairman, the first speaker is Brianna Ellers.
Hello, hi. Gonna keep it nice, short, and sweet today, because, I appreciate you, Sean Gregory. I'll say that. I appreciate the fact that we're looking at where the money is going, and that we're starting to criticize that and starting to really question and think about, is it going to reach our bottom? Is it going to reach the most vulnerable? Because the most vulnerable are already getting slammed right now with life. So I just very appreciative of that. I also very appreciated the fact that, whenever the lifts were being talked about with the fire department, the unintended consequences, thinking about the future, being proactive, that's what makes me happy. That's all I ask for. And I very much enjoyed this meeting tonight, guys. I appreciate you guys up here. And that's not something that I normally say. All right, so with that being said, I'm just going to say, I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night. Caleb McGuire.
Hello. I also don't have much to say today. I just wanted to remind you guys about the possibility of having an ASL interpreter here and on the YouTube live stream so that the deaf community can also be informed as to what's going on, so that they might be able to come out here and participate in these meetings as well. Also, I also love the way that today's meeting went. I love it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronald Ham.
Hiya, my name is Ronald Ham. Today I'm here in my capacity as the Unfortunate Technology Coordinator of the Land of Lincoln branch of the DSA. And today I would like to talk about class warfare. Sounds scary. It is, but not for the reasons you're probably thinking. The question at the root of this is, why can't we have nice things? Why can't we have better public transport, better roads, better sidewalks, better schools, better resources for people in need? Kids over on the east side are killing each other, and I wish it was just as bad as nothing is being done about it. It is worse than that. Not only is nothing being done about it, but when people on the east side got together to try to do something about it, certain members of this horseshoe actively tried to stop them. Why is that? This is not a rhetorical question. This is a question that has been asked of the city council for months now, and certain Seans in this audience, in this horseshoe have, I lost my place. Certain Seans in the city council have done an effective job of explaining the problem from their perspective. In fact, Chairman, if I may quote Alderman Gregory from several weeks ago, he said, we don't just have a big pile of cash we can use to pay for things. Everything is done through grants, and Trump can pull those grants at any time. I say this to the chair because I want the public to understand this is a problem largely over the head of the city council. As much as the people of this city have pushed back against the policies of the city council, successfully pushed back against the policies of the city council in some instances, I understand there are clear-cut and easy-to-understand limitations to what the city council can do. In a general sense, I would request the chairman to ask everyday people to familiarize themselves with those rules and limitations, and I myself would also ask people to familiarize themselves with those rules and limitations. I also say this to the chair because I want the public to understand and hear explicitly. That isn't an answer. The question isn't, why isn't the city council doing more to enrich and support the community? The question is, why can't we have nice things? Saying the money may or may not exist, but either way we don't have access to it, is not an answer. It's kicking the can down the road. It leads to another question. Okay, then why can't you access it? Or why aren't there grants to do that? And maybe the most important question, why is there always money to fund the police, but never money for school lunches? Because there is always money for the police. Here's the truth of the thing. The reason we can't have nice things is because there are people on every level of government, the federal level, the state level, the county level, the city level, and the ward level. There are people in positions of power more invested in punishment and vengeance than they are in improving society. There are people, including people who are not present in the city council today, more invested in punishment and vengeance than they are in improving society. There are people, including people in this room, who consider harming people for some benefit to be more important than helping all. There are people sitting here today who seem to consider putting people in prison for not having a place to sleep more important than helping members of the community to keep the homes that they have. There are members of the city council who have actively worked to prevent people in the community from addressing youth violence while lavishing praise on the police after putting a kid in the hospital for the crime of having tinted windows. There is at least one member of this city council who seems to relish in the opportunity to purposely and maliciously silence victims of police violence, silence people advocating on their behalf, silence other random people caught in the wake of that, triggering at least one lawsuit against the city, and then going on to brag about how he was just told he didn't even need to broadcast any of this. Triggering a lawsuit, by the way, in a time period where the city is trying to shore up funding due to a critical budget shortfall in 2 years. Not critical enough to avoid lawsuits, I suppose. Then again, Chairman, if I may quote Alderman Hanauer from the budget negotiations in February, it's not his problem. He's not going to be here in 2 years. There is a war being fought right now. It is being fought on every street, in every home, at every dinner table in this country, in this state, in this city. It is a war being fought between those people who believe that a grievance committed by one should result in a punishment for all, and everyone else who is just trying to survive. This is a war with casualties. Every person who dies of exposure in the street, every person who dies of hunger or malnourishment, every person killed by the police without a trial. This is a war that has been waged for generations and has ravaged this country in ways we are still trying to understand. Chairman, members of the City Council, do not have the power to end this war. I am not so naive to think that they could, but they have a responsibility to push back against it. And to their credit, some of them are doing that. We saw that a couple of weeks ago when members of the City Council pushed back against the Center for Economic Development. We're seeing that now, too. And I guess I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Aaron Cahill. Roy Walton.
Good evening, everyone. I have a couple issues. I'm gonna try to make it quick and brief.
Mr. Walton, you'll be talking to me. I'm vice chair. Chair had to step out real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, sir. My first issue is support for harm reduction, because harm reduction is very valuable in the community for a couple reasons. It gives some people safe places to go outside of city organized or leaderships. Some people don't feel safe because they've been identified or classified as this or that. So when they walk into these facilities that's ran by the cities or the health departments, then when they leave and you see them later, they get targeted for paraphernalia or all kind of other things. Harm reduction centers stops that, and it makes them come forward. People complain that they can't get the people to come into their buildings or come to their programs. That's why, because they're scared to be later targeted. It also helps with reducing suicides because of stress and strain on people's thoughts. It also helps with stopping like pregnancies because they give you Plan B pills and different things like that, stuff that people might not be able to afford. So they're very productive and very helpful. And I feel like we should support them more or build more funding for harm reduction centers, especially ones that's self-sufficiently sustained, like Intricate Minds. She does that on her own, by herself, with assistance from donations. But she sees over 300 to 400 people a month that the health departments don't see because they're scared to come to them. My other issue is police misconduct, because they say once you cross, it's a thin line, and I believe in effective policing. I'm not against that. And I have made my own mistakes, and I have suffered my own consequences with no retribution behind them, no ill will, because I feel like it's your job. I'm not mad at you for doing your job. But when you overstep your boundaries, then you become the same criminal that you say you're pretending to apprehend. You're no longer a police officer. You're a thug. You're a gangbanger. You're whatever you call the people that you say that you're trying to keep the city safe from. It gives you the mindset that, and it puts people in fear because it gives you the mindset that you can legally come into my home, unlawfully remove me, take me to an undisclosed location, and have your way with me for at least an hour before I'm able to make my phone call and tell my people where I'm at. And then it's justified because there's no real reprimand behind it. It's a slap on the wrist, and then they're back out patrolling. But let it be us. It's time in the county, pre-trial release, possible incarceration, major fines, loss of jobs, broken families. And I feel like once you decide that it's okay to bypass your oath and do what you feel because you feel you have the power, you are no longer an officer. You are no longer a public figure. You are no longer somebody that I feel can keep me safe. You just like them. And I feel like I have to defend myself. It's not only dangerous for us, but it's dangerous for the officers, because then it gives people the mindset that if they run up on us, shoot them like a regular thug. Because how do you pull up on people and don't use your emergency lights or don't identify yourself? Say if somebody is armed and you ain't identify yourself and then he turn around and shoot you. Now y'all want to prosecute him for saving his own life because he wasn't aware that it was an officer. These things need to be looked at and more seriously addressed. It needs to be more public awareness about who to turn to, how to file claims. It needs to be support for people that do, because then they get intimidated once they do in an act to force them to stop the claim. I'm not one of them people. I'm here on behalf of the community and on behalf of myself, and I filed formal charges, and I'm prepared to continue. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you.
Ken Pesha.
I'm going to start off with a quote tonight from Coretta Scott King. I must remind you that starving a child is violence. Neglecting school children is violence. Punishing a mother and her family is violence. Discrimination against a working man is violence. Ghetto housing is violence. Ignoring medical need is violence. Contempt for poverty is violence. And I'll be honest, I've talked to you guys as a council about optics before, right? How to communicate with your citizens, how you look to the city. And I think it's kind of frustrating that with what Alderman Cox mentioned that happened in Chatham just recently, it was highlighted by a county board member today, that our mayor went to go help with McCrispy's, which I like to refer to as McCrispy Gate, because it's a little frustrating that in times like that of tragedy, that our mayor's at a McDonald's eating chicken nuggets with our city workers. You would think the optics alone would talk you into staying home that day, maybe not celebrating so openly in such a bad time, because it seems like time and time again the city doesn't really understand the optics of this situation, how it looks to your community. Because I'll tell you, News Channel 20 made a post about that. It wasn't even up 2 hours before it had over 120 comments, and let me tell you, they weren't friendly. They weren't the community seeing support. They weren't the community feeling supported. That's the kind of thing that leads us to question the kind of leadership we have, as in the past, such as with the results of Sonia Massey. Now, while our police department was not responsible for that, that was, in fact, the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department. That happened where? In the city of Springfield. It was a delayed response from our leadership in terms of giving the community somewhere to feel safety and that there was an authority that was going to help. Instead, we get the kind of lack of good optics that we saw with Egan. Do we need to relive how bad that went? I don't think we do. I don't think we need to go back over it, but I will talk about the idea of this seems to be a continual problem with this administration. The optics of the situation and how it looks to people, because what we're getting into is the idea that, just like tonight, we're talking about finding retirement homes. What's going to happen? Do we really believe that those private equity or privately owned retirement homes aren't going to punish the people that stay there when they get fined? I mean, this Springfield Fire Department came to you guys with detailed information less than a year ago about running a city ambulance service. The money's even been set aside and earmarked for it. You guys could have already put this in action and done something about it long before we had problem in offending homes that we need to worry about who's doing it the most. Because quite frankly, they've already given you guys the numbers, right? Does anyone remember that? You guys remember those numbers that came and presented by the union chief? Anybody? I mean, I think that's the thing is like there's this whole idea that we talk about these issues and then suddenly we need to have an exploratory committee about it and spend another year dragging our feet to a solution. They've already told you guys what's going on. The August 2023 settlement of a 2021 unfair labor practice dispute with the SFD union included the city agreeing to form a labor management committee to explore the cost efficiencies and improvements to public safety associated with city-operated ambulance service. Where does that stand right now? Right. Okay. So the council opted to include $280,000 in the fiscal year budget that began March 1st for the purchase of an ambulance and $250,000 for ambulance-related equipment and supplies. That money's still earmarked. It's still sitting there untouched, unmoved, and what? I think that's the problem is what are the optics on that? How does that look when we're talking about finding retirement homes when we already had a solution that's been available to us for almost 2 years, right? I mean, I guess that's what's confusing to me is why I have to bring this stuff up as though somehow there's not a long memory on here. We're looking at rubric to punish people for being disruptive, but we're not actually talking about fixing the real problems in this city. Sean brought it up. Let's talk about the involvement of O'Shea Builders continually with no minority guarantees. How much money is the city going to spend on that $111 million project for the hub that the county's about to approve tomorrow in their special random April 30th meeting? They slipped the agenda in a couple days ago on. How much money is that? How many earmarks and safety guidelines have you guys put in to ensure minority hiring? To ensure local contractors are included? Because what I'm looking at in the listing of names included includes our usual suspects, more like it, Jeezy, Hanson, the ones that always line up. And I think that's what's interesting to me is that the optics of that look like the fix is in, especially when you get into the Sangamon County Growth Alliance and the people that are involved in it and how these things play out, especially when we get into, like Sean mentioned, minority hiring. That's my time.
Thank you.
Sierra Sandage.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to go against my rule. I usually write things down before I speak. But today is a special day to me. It's April 29th. 3 years ago today, I lost my mother to a fentanyl overdose. I just want to remind the Horseshoe that last year we lost 90 people to overdose. I don't want to say too much. I'm a little emotional, but harm reduction is really important, guys. It's meeting people where they're at, whether that be they want to go to rehab today, whether they want to use drugs today, whether they're in a crack house today. We have to meet people where they're at for those people to remain alive. We have to catch those people that are falling through the cracks and identify the services that they need to keep them alive. Just because people use drugs don't mean they deserve to die. And the harsh reality is that people will always use drugs. There's never going to be a time where we're just going to have a drug-free world and everybody stops using drugs. So just kind of going to keep coming back every week and dropping some facts on harm reduction. I wasn't really prepared today, but just to keep that reminder that we are losing people at a very quick rate to overdose, and just make sure we're exploring where the money for harm reduction is going, how it's being used, and if those services are getting out to the underserved communities that they're intended for. Thank you.
Veronica Glass. Veronica, okay. Ann Logue.
Okay, this is a ballot, not ballot, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is a petition that I started in March.
Would you please speak
I'm
into
sorry.
the microphone?
This is a petition I started in March, and it is basically a response to everything that's been going on since January 20th. I was pretty angry when I wrote this petition, but somehow I got 700 signatures. I also got some signatures from Chicago and Kankakee and didn't quite count on that. But I'm going to read this two versions of the petition. The first version is a little more toned down. The chancellor from UIS kind of looked at my petition and said, here, let me give you a nicer way to say it. So, but I started this one, and so we're kind of stuck with that one. And it also means a lot to a lot of people, and they were so glad to have something that they could do with everything that's happening. It's so scary, and it's very, it's something that we can't be in a bubble about, and that's why I'm here tonight. So I'm going to pass this around. I kept the last page so that I can read the petition, but I want this back. Because I may get more, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of it, but it's been kind of fun. So here's the toned down version. We of Sangamon County and the city of Springfield write to express outrage over the reckless actions of the federal administration. We must protect rights mandated to us of services that support all walks of life, health, education, welfare, just treatment, and security. Vital federal agencies and systems established to ensure confidential delivery of essential services have been severely compromised by drastic reductions to staff. Many are at risk as a result. None deserve such callous disregard by their government. No one deserves to be robbed of their privacy or legal status. No one deserves to be erased. We are seeing it now. Therefore, we urge you as leaders to speak out boldly on behalf of those you serve. Oppose these reckless operations and demand that the federal administration act in accordance with existing laws and regulations to restore and ensure the health, education, welfare, equal treatment, and security of all USA citizens and residents. So here's the other version. We, the citizens of Sangamon County and Springfield, Illinois, are writing to express our outrage over the reckless and unconstitutional purge of federal services that honor education, basic human rights, recognition for all orientations, races, racial injustice, the right for women to control their bodies, protection of our very environment, protections of our elderly, innocent children, vital adherence to basic science protocols, medical research, as well as reckless abandonment of our ties to our allies, alignment to dictators, the callous handling of our personal data by handing over personal Social Security to staff working for an unscrupulous, cutthroat businessman, Elon Musk, under the direction of a six-bankrupted Donald Trump. This mass intrusion and removal is not a responsible way to reform government. It is chaotic, short-sighted, and deeply damaging to our nation. We risk the very future of everyday citizens for the benefit of few. There is no clear plan, concern, or understanding of the consequences. This is not governance, it's sabotage. Without these protections, veterans lose access to care, our climate is at risk, food and water safety is at risk, basic income from Social Security is delayed or taken, causing loss of basic survival to seniors. It is demoralizing to people who have dedicated their lives to protecting us to then just throw them out without notice. This is not reform, it's destruction. We demand you not stay silent at this complete breach of security and decency. We are speaking up because any silence at this time is depraved indifference in the face of this threat to basic standards of human decency. 12 more minutes. No immigrant is safe right now. SIU students are scared to death, and immigrants probably are afraid just to go to the grocery store. We need to be making plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aaron Kirkpatrick.
Good evening, Chair and City Council. I hope everyone enjoyed their week away from Chambers. I felt compelled to be here today to make a public comment regarding public comments. I personally feel grateful and honored for the opportunity to hear from my neighbors each week. The broadcasting of public comment meets my needs for community, honesty, freedom, and connection. I am not only requesting that City Council continue to broadcast meetings as well as public comments, but I would further request that broadcasting be codified into rule with whatever necessary amendments. As Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, a pioneer in nonviolent communication, has said, there are no positive or negative emotions, just emotions we feel when our needs are met and emotions we feel when our needs are not met. When people take the time to come here and share thoughts and feelings with you, it is typically unmet needs that are being addressed. Our feelings and needs are universal, and that bears repeating. All of our feelings and all of our needs are universal. We simply have different things that elicit our feelings and different strategies for meeting our needs. When I hear an elected official refer to some community members who address council as extremely abusive, those people, or crazy, it lets me know your needs are not being met. Just as any individual's comments tell what is alive in them, your judgments tell us only about you. I will not assume to know what those specific feelings and needs are, but know that they are just as normal and human as mine. I would request that each of us in this community work to listen deeply to one another, beyond the feelings expressed and the tone of voice used, and even the volume at which it is shared, and hear the unmet needs that are invariably being communicated, whether we are able to address the needs or not. I also wanted to express my gratitude, a recurrent theme this evening. Over the last couple of months, when I saw changing camera angles, approved QR code avoidance, and intentional mic cuts, I primarily felt agitated, indignant, and disappointed because I value everyone being heard, respected, and having accessibility. During more recent city council meetings, the public comment period has had seemingly continuous utilization of a forward-facing camera, a visible countdown timer, and visual aid allowance, including an approved QR code. When I saw all of these changes, I felt grateful, hopeful, and surprised, because I then felt my needs for being heard, consideration, and consistency were being attended to. I would like to close by sharing a direct quote from Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., which I am reminded of each time I hear the Municipal League Civility Pledge. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will, end quote. My request from this is a call to action, that we may both individually and collectively seek that positive peace he speaks of, which is the presence of justice. And again, I would like to request that broadcasting city council meetings and public comments be codified into rule. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Frazier.
Well, I was notified that I had something I wanted to show on film, but I'm just going to play it instead because we wasn't able to see it.
Narrative unfolds behind every fourth door, where families face a daunting 23.8% concentrated poverty rate. This figure is more than just data. It's a reflection of real lives and unspoken challenges. Behind these doors, there are parents striving against all odds, children whose dreams are shadowed by economic barriers. Yet within this landscape of hardship, there lies a resilient spirit, a community poised for transformation. It's here that Clean Slate Advocates finds its mission, turning daunting statistics into stories of hope and resilience. This is where change begins, in lives touched and futures rewritten with new opportunities. Picture two separate Springfields combined into one where opportunities flourish and another where a staggering 12.3% face unemployment, over double the rate of other areas. This contrast paints a vivid picture of a city divided by economic lines, yet brimming with potential. Every individual in these struggling neighborhoods represents an untapped resource, a chance for growth and unity. Your role can be the heartbeat of change, transforming hardship into new beginnings and uniting Springfield's community with hope and shared strength. Imagine walking through Springfield's neighborhoods, where at every second door you look at there's a family caught in the grip of poverty. This is more than a statistic. It's the everyday life for over half the population in these areas. Marked by a 53% poverty rate, these neighborhoods are not just areas of need, they're reservoirs of untapped potential. In Springfield, our diverse neighborhoods show us the potential in every resident. This diversity isn't just about numbers, it's about different stories and dreams. It highlights why we need initiatives that reach everyone. It's about making sure every voice is heard, every story valued. By embracing our diverse community, we strengthen Springfield. Remember, someone helped by Clean Slate Advocates today could be a leader tomorrow, shaping our city's future. Every step you take with us is more than a contribution. It's a powerful statement. It's about being part of Springfield's story of transformation and growth. This journey is not just about overcoming challenges. It's about building a community where every individual has the opportunity to flourish. Your involvement is a testament to the belief that together, we can create a Springfield that shines for all of its residents. Let's turn our collective aspirations into reality, creating a community where success isn't just a possibility, but a promise fulfilled for every individual who calls Springfield home.
We created that piece, me and our group, and we're real proud of it. I hate that we weren't able to view. It had a lot of beautiful pictures and things. Maybe down the road we'll figure that out. But on Sunday, this past Sunday, in a 6-hour period, we helped about 208 customers to the tune of 1,924 loads of laundry. It represented 70% black, 25% white, 5% others. The average salary or the average income of the individuals was $349.80. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an extreme problem. And our problem is it's not a fair playing ground. Now we talked about, I hear we're talking about MBEs and FBEs, and those acronyms at any time can mean anything. We got to receive real change in order for us to eliminate poverty. When I grew up, and you worked for the city government, state government, or federal government, you were called a public servant. And trust me, being a public servant never was designed to be a millionaire or a six-figure job that I knew of. You went to the private sector to create something, to be very successful in life. That's not the day and time that we live in right now. There's literally no enterprises out here that people can be aggressive and growing. We look forward to trying to achieve that goal going forward with our local officials and allowing procurement to be achieved by all and create more jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last speaker. That's it. Entertain a motion.
Motion. So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.